Good morning. First, before I start my talk, pranam to all my group, those leaders in the audience, on the stage also, who made me capable to come to this dais and speak on this subject, on leadership. With that, I start. So, the topic is leadership and management for, you can see dash, because this leadership and management you can use for anything. It could be project management, it could be operation management. That's why I have left it as dash. And safety regulation is put in faded thing. That is the way I will explain how these concepts are used by AERB for safety regulation. So outline the concept of leadership and management, emotional intelligence skills for effective leadership. This will give the full concept part. Then comes the challenges and issues, where important role of leadership comes. And then application of leadership and management for safety regulation, a practical example, implementation of IMS in AERB. International peer review, pre and post implementation of IMS, and concluding remarks, and giving references which I have referred. So the first question is leadership and management the same? So leadership is the skill of leading a group of people and inspiring them towards a direction. It is an interpersonal process which involves influencing a person or a group so as to ensure achievement of objectives willingly and enthusiastically. So here you can see the emotions are involved, and more important thing is this. The same tool, same procedure you use when you work out willingly, then you see the output, how it is much bigger than when you do it unwillingly. So what is management? So management is a discipline of managing resources in the best possible manner. So here it is the method which takes care of the man, machine, and material. It is the art of skill of getting the work done with others, and emphasis on work done. So willingly and enthusiastically is missing, which was there in the leadership. So it comes to a situation of work to rule, where you can understand that only 20% of human capacity is utilized. 80% remains unutilized, which is the target of leadership. Just to have the key differences, that leadership you have, it provides the vision, setting direction, aligning, while correspondingly if you see management, it works for planning and budgeting. Leadership works for aligning people with the objectives, and management works for organizing and staffing, that is assigning. So one side is the aligning, other side is the assigning. Provides motivation, inspires, that is the leadership, while management provides control and solves the problem. Emphasis on effectiveness is by leadership. Remember that you cannot be effective if you are not efficient. So efficiency is built into the effectiveness, while management concentrates on efficiency. Leadership drives the change, coping with the change, while management works for coping with complexity. So you can see primarily leadership works for the relationship, while management concentrates on the function. This is one of the most important attribute of the leadership. That is, getting people to adapt to the change is the hallmark of a leader. And when you need adaptive work, actually leadership looks for always to the new avenues, new things, mobilize the people to do the adaptive work, and adaptive work is required when our hardcore beliefs are challenged by the new situation, which now AERB is facing after 40 years, that new challenges are there. Those things which have got us success in the past, they have to be revalidated. So this is what the leadership should look for. And solution to adaptive challenges reside not in executive suits, but in collective intelligence of the employees at all levels. And examples are there. Many changes which has been done in recent past in AERB for last 8-9 years. You can see that it was done through the collective wisdom, like such auditorium in AERB. We have debated each of them, not taking decisions from the executive chambers. Leadership and management, they are not distinctive. They have the complementary systems. Each has its own function and characteristic, involve different type of outlook, skills, and behavior. Leadership is not necessarily better than management or a replacement for it. Both are necessary for success of an organization, and that's why companies rightly ignore recent literature that say that people cannot manage and lead. So concept is moving towards leader-manager thing, that a person should have both the qualities. So good managers should strive to be good leaders, and good leaders need to have the management skills to be effective. African proverb, very famous, an army of sheep led by a lion can defeat an army of lions led by a sheep. But there is a caution. The caution is, a strong leadership with weak management is no better and is sometimes actually worse than the reverse. Because by that proverb, people get that only leadership can do everything. No. Remember that I said that the management, if a strong management is there, at least that 20% human capacity utilization is assured. So strong management is like your safe investment, like PF. That guaranteed returns are there, while leadership is like equity share. It can take you to आसमान भी ले जा सकता है और पाताल में भी ले जा सकता है if it is not controlled by strong management. So the real challenge is to combine strong leadership and strong management and use each to balance the other. So both are required. Concept of leader-manager, that is, have the mind of a manager and soul of a leader. That is what is required. What makes an effective leader? So all of you must have heard a story about a highly intelligent, skilled executive who was promoted. He did not earn the position, he was promoted into a leadership position only to fail at the top. While about someone with solid but not extraordinary intellectual abilities and technical skills who was selected. Who earned that position into a similar position and then sold. So this is the distinction. So what comes out is technical capabilities and IQ, they are only entry-level requirements for executive positions, while emotional intelligence plays an increasingly important role at the highest levels of the organization, where differences in technical skills are of negligible importance. This is the crux. For leadership, when above a position, technical capabilities or scientific capabilities, they don't matter. You are almost everybody is saturated with that. You have to pick up the person who has the better leadership qualities. It is the emotional intelligence that enables the best leaders to maximize their own and their followers' performance. Without it, a person can have the best training in the world, an analytical mind, and an endless supply of smart ideas, but he still won't make a great leader. So EI is an essential component. Research shows that high level of EI create climate in which information sharing, trust, healthy risk-taking, and learning flourish. Low level of EI create climates rife with fear and anxiety. Tense or terrified employees can be very productive in the short term. Their organization may post good results, but they never last. So mind it. Whenever this type of leadership with low level of EI is there, you may get good results, but they will never last. So natural question comes, can emotional intelligence be learned? Of course. EI has a genetic component, but nurture as well plays a role. How much of each one, perhaps we will never be known. We know that both are there, that it can be learned also and it has the genetic component. But how much? So far it is not known. But research shows that by practice, you can learn the EI, emotional intelligence, can be very well learned. And emotional intelligence is born out in the neurotransmitter of the brain, that is in the limbic system. And limbic system of the brain learns best through the motivation, extended practice, and feedback. And that should be targeted for enhancing EI. But in contrast, learning in neocortex part of which governs the analytical and technical ability and grasp the concepts and logic, largely that is the target of most training program. So now you see our training programs does not target to enhance the EI. In nutshell, emotional intelligence skills for leadership in summary are the self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, sympathy, and social skills. These are in general, any book you will read on EI, you will find these qualities. But then recently I have read a book on the mind of the leader by Rasmus Hoggard and Jacqueline Carter, Harvard Business Review Press. They put it as 3 mental qualities which they say that stand out being foundational for leaders. That is mindfulness, selflessness, and compassion. That is MSC leadership. And MSC leadership is mindfulness, that is being present, focused, and aware. It makes you agile and effective. Your people feel seen, heard, and valued. Selflessness manifests as humility and offering service, not expecting service. It restrains from micromanaging people and processes, gives your people a space to develop and do what they do best. Then is the compassion. See, quality of having positive intentions for others, putting oneself in others' shoes to better understand their challenges and how best to help them. It helps your people feel safe and connected. So this is what the crux of the MSC leadership. Then comes the crucible of leadership. There are different levels. First is high capable individual. I think now people from DAE fraternity can correlate it to. This is the level when we join after training school as SOC. Everyone is having that highly capable, they are equally capable. They have passed out the training school, all are almost equal. Now, the first promotion, this is what the C2D, individual capability, is the basic criteria. Move to the level 2, where contributing team members, now SOD. Now D2E, this is what gets additional. Beyond your individual capability, you have to add up this contributing team member. So D2E promotion, it is factored. While when it comes to E2F, then you have this competent manager, that is your leadership qualities starts factoring in E2F. And finally, level 4, effective leader, that is SOG, catalyzes commitment to vigorous pursuit of a clear and compelling vision, stimulates the group to high performance standards. So besides your technical capability, these things are seen. And the last level where you are selected as an executive, which builds enduring greatness through a paradoxical combination of personal humility plus professional will. And this individual do not need to proceed sequentially, but the last level 5 person has to have all the qualities of preceding levels. No one can be authentic by trying to imitate someone else. This is what the greatest quality of a leader. If you imitate, then you cannot be a leader. People trust you when you are genuine and authentic, not a replica of someone else. Hallmarks of leader is sincerity, honesty, and never faking. This never faking is very important, that you have to be genuine and sincere. A myth, one person could possibly stay on top of everything. Now, some leaders, they feel that they know everything, which is a myth. Due to attendant fear of appearing incompetent, many executives try to do this. Everything they will post their nose. Real leader who acknowledges the above fact knows when to let go, acknowledges that leadership exists throughout the organizational hierarchy, and you don't have to do it all yourself. And this is just what makes, I will not go because already time is limited, I will try to go more on that example. So effective leaders get right things done in the right ways at right time. The time also becomes many times very important. So this is the part which I would like to emphasize more. So that's why first part I completed fast, though that itself is a more than 1 hour lecture actually, the standard lecture. So now let us see my understanding and experience and how did we applied it into AERB. There are challenges, issues, and it is a universal fact. Many issues or problems are never resolved or managed effectively because every problem or issue has two parts, acute part and the underlying chronic part. You must be wondering that many of the issues and problems everybody sees, everybody knows these are the problems, but they never get resolved or managed, in spite of everybody is seeing it. The reason acute part is quite visible and is invariably addressed. So whatever immediately affects, that much part will definitely be attacked. While underlying part, chronic, remains unaddressed and festers and resurfaces time and again. The reason being, these are not taken seriously due to leaders' strong bias towards alternatives that perpetuate the status quo and escapism, that is lack of courage to change or face the conflicts. They find the status quo comfortable and avoid taking action that would upset it. Alternatives that perpetuate the status quo, the first is that not priority or too trivial, can be resolved anytime, that is underestimation of the problem. Maybe we will rethink it later, and later is usually never. And third is the instinctively exaggerated. There could be some advisor around the leadership or leader who will exaggerate things. वो इतना डरा देगा कि फिर वो लीडर स्टेटस को में ही भरोसा कर लेगा. So source of status quo trap, where is the source? Why people go to status quo? It is simply that the desire to protect ego from damage. And breaking from the status quo, if you have to break from the status quo, you need to take action. If you take action means you have to put efforts. If you put efforts, then responsibility comes. And responsibility comes means you are opening to criticism and so you open to the criticism and regret, risk to ego. We naturally look for reasons to do nothing, as there are always more convincing arguments to do nothing than compelling reason to take an action. This is the reason, again, we go to the status quo. Sticking with the status quo, on the contrast, if you see, no action. If you have to stick with the status quo, no action, no effort, no responsibility, so no risk, so safe course, ego is protected. And this is the basic reason. Here comes the interaction of leader-manager with the organization, which assumes the importance. His maturity, his leadership qualities, and having that courage to face the conflicts. Understanding of the Chesterton's fence, that is, look before leaping, that is, clear understanding of what is and why it is so, any gap from what should be, before embarking on changes is very important, as this decides the direction the organization will move upward or downward. And many a times, even if leader takes initiative, then also work does not go further. Sometimes you may have leader who will have all the characteristics and he will try, he will pinpoint and force that this is to be done, but down the ladder, nothing happens. Why? Again, it is the employee's non-performance, which is the primary reason. And what are the reasons for employees' non-performance? Not knowing www.h. This is now the buzzword in AERB. Why to do, what to do, when to do, and how to do. It looks like a website address, www.http. It is of that. This is what every activity we subject it to examination through this www.h. That is absence of clearly defined primary motivators, that is vision, mission, and objective. They should be very clear. They are the higher end things through which any issue can be resolved. You can resolve any issue ultimately through vision, mission, and objective. Roles and responsibilities, there is the absence of roles and responsibilities, line of communication and authority, and culture of accountability. Guidelines for decision making, if clear-cut guidelines are not there. Then non-availability of resources, tools, tackles, procedures, work environment. Then the most important part, accountability for error of commission and not for error of omission. This is the major issue in the whole country, in every organization. If error of commission is there, consequences of doing, while action is certain for act going wrong and reward is uncertain for act going right. But if you see error of omission, consequences of not doing, no positive, no negative, that is indirect reward. This is the biggest problem why problems are not getting resolved, because act of omission is not being held accountable. While if you see the act of commission, you may go wrong, but it can be corrected. While act of omission, you do not know what opportunity you have lost, what it costed to the organization, and nobody holds anybody responsible for that. So the lack of ownership, accountability, and courage to face the productive conflict is the main reason why challenges and issues are not being tackled. So chronic underlying causes are consequential to not differentiating the knowledge workforce from skilled workforce and their management. We apply the same management tricks which is used for the skilled worker, while in nuclear fraternity it is the knowledge worker, and their expectation, their motivators are altogether different. So the expectations of the knowledge workers are they derive more satisfaction from their work. They demand challenges, demanding assignments and more responsibilities, and need to see the result. They expect to know organization's mission and believe in it, and expect to participant in the decision making. They need thinking through and setting their own performance goals, and they need continual updating of the knowledge. This is what they need. If we don't cater to this and you apply the tricks of management which is for the skilled workforce, it won't serve the purpose, because you will not be motivating them. So these causes are consequential to absence of clearly defined primary motivators, that is vision, mission, and objective, roles and responsibilities, line of communication and authority, culture of accountability, guidelines for decision making. So if we address these things, then automatically we take care of main causes. www.h, why, what, when, and how. By establishing integrated management system in participative way, that is tell, sell, and gel. First tell, then sell your ideas, and then by discussion you gel. And participative goal setting is superior to assigned goal setting. Because a leader gives that goals, then it is of no meaning. It should be the participative goal setting, that everybody should participate, and then we set this is the goal, so that ownership comes. Once gelled, then respect the decision. So this is what governing key organization attributes for effective regulation and development of IMS, Integrated Management System in AERB. Clear and unambiguous vision, mission, and with well-defined organizational policies and core values. Core values already in AERB in 2004, they had come out with an ethics thing. It is a very beautiful thing which is available on our website. You see those core values, very well articulated. Then the next most important aspect is well-designed organizational structure that fits the task, not the organization which is copied from other organization. It should be the structure which fits the task. It should be aligned with the vision, mission, and the legal mandate, defined roles and responsibilities with commensurate authority, centered around organizational policies rather than individual personalities. This is another issue which we face in our country. Our organization many times get distorted because we want to take care of individual personality. Somebody has become senior, so create a division for him. It creates the issue in the workflow of the organization. Selection of right people for right job. This is another thing. We don't have the transparent, well-known criteria for selecting the right people for right job. Fewer layers, as flat as possible, so that understanding is good and leaders' interaction is good. Single reporting, that is, avoid the conflict of loyalty. Multiple reporting should be avoided. And this transparency and accountability in all actions. Employees' engagement, that is, interaction of leaders, makes them feel seen, heard, and valued. There should be opportunity where that the subordinates can talk to the leader. Always, if distance is maintained, to ensure that if I meet every day with my subordinates, my respect will go down, they will not. That is a insecure leadership. Secure leadership will always try to talk to anybody because he knows that he will earn respect because of his actions, not by power. So direct communication from leader to all objectives of policy and seeking inputs, that is participative goal setting, which makes the ownership coming in. Interactive and participative decision making, integrated management system portal, all employees participating. So what we have done is that making this integrated management system, we have made a portal on our intranet where everybody is able to give the comment, and we are seeking comments from everyone. It is open to all the employees, not that few selected one. Organizational climate survey, how employees feel about their immediate superior, their section head, their division heads. We conducted this survey also in anonymous way so that they feel free to give the free opinion. Safety culture survey also we conducted for AERB, because before asking utilities to improve upon their safety culture, we did it. This is the first lesson, that first you demonstrate and then ask others to evaluate. Alignment with vision, mission, and objectives of the organization, that is what most important. If you have the right people selected for right job, then this alignment can go very well. Otherwise, the greatest leader cannot do anything if your next layer is not properly selected. Communication of right step at right time by right persons. This is another plaguing issue. In big meetings, leader will be there, the next level people will be there, but they will never transmit what transpired there down the ladder. This is what creates problem and a distance from the vision, mission, and objectives and the employee. So, how AERB addressed this? We focused on the system, which is composed of processes with built-in provision for tiny improvements and their aggregation. That leads to the goals. Good system, primary motivators set by the leadership in a participative way. This is another thing we have done. And remember that good systems, procedures, and controls on their own are not enough. It is how well organization lives its system that matters. So first, leader should demonstrate that he lives the systems, then only others will follow it. This requires right ownership and accountability. System can help in tracking and tracing accountability, but cannot set the culture of accountability. It has to flow from the leadership. The accountability you cannot fix. Accountability you can only assess. But accountability can come, it is only through a culture. The day a person, you give the responsibility and authority, people own the authority. They don't own the responsibility. The day they start owning the responsibility, the ownership comes, you become accountable. And the day you become accountable to yourself, nothing is greater than that. Then you don't have to be accountable to anybody else. So this is what the IMS is. It integrates all of an organization's processes into one complete framework, enabling an organization to work as a single unit with unified objectives. So this is in a nutshell. We are trying to put overview of this whole thing. Initiation thing is what? We have a constitution order which gives us the mandate. Based on that, AERB has developed its vision, its mission, its values, and at the same time worked out the organization policies, strategies, and the goals. Taking these together, then we have developed the strategic directions and guidance, and based on that, we have developed all functions, and to carry out those functions, we have developed the processes, and those processes are put into a organizational framework, and then it comes within that framework, there is a structure developed, and that structure gives this authorities and responsibilities and decision making. And from decision making itself, some of the authorities and responsibilities come back. So this is the way the whole integrated management system has been worked out, and then performance assessment and change management so that we keep on improving upon the system. And this is just a glimpse of some of the strategic directions which we have. Like here you have the guidelines for establishing multi-tier review mechanism for decision making. So now, as a even chairman AERB, I cannot put somebody just like that as a member in any of the committee. There are well-laid requirement and checklist is to be filled. If all those requirements are met, then only it comes and it is approved, then only a person can be made a member, chairman, or member secretary. Similarly, this graded approach, we have a full-fledged guideline so that across the organization, people understand it in the same way. Then protocol for effective communication. These are just some of the guidelines for promotion of safety awareness. So that is what I was taking. Well-defined things are there, then it is much easier for the people to work. Decision making is one of the most important aspects of integrated management system. Nothing tells you more about an organization than the way it makes decisions. And nothing affects the organization more than the decisions the people in it make. So how decisions are made in AERB? So we have the leader who chooses someone individual to make key decision. This is what the delegation is. Board has delegated many things to different levels. The decision maker seeks advice, including from the leader. Here people should understand, taking an advice from the superior does not mean that you have to follow it. It is only one of the inputs like many other inputs. So decision maker seeks advice, including from the leader, besides recommendations from the committees. Now these are the inputs available, and now he has to make the decision based on the guidelines available. The final decision is made not by the leader, but by the chosen decision maker. This is the major difference from earlier working and present working. Committees are not giving executive decisions, they are recommending, and AERB decision maker takes the final decision. So it takes care of that responsibility, accountability, the consultation, as well as the informed decision making. And such process safeguards against the potential group bias and common decision-making traps like anchoring trap, framing trap, status quo trap, sunk cost trap, confirming evidence trap, uncertainty traps, that is overconfidence, prudence, and recalcitrability trap. So when leaders put control into the hands of their people at all levels, they unlock incalculable potential. So how the international peer review have viewed AERB? So first, initial mission of IAEA, IRRS, that is Integrated Regulatory Review Service Team. It happened in 2015, and these are the observations. The AERB has implemented the measures to obtain the technical expertise and capability which may be required to support delivery of the AERB mandate. Considering the powers conferred by its constitution, the AERB has the necessary legal authority for its regulatory activities. The mandate of the AERB does not include any function other than regulation of nuclear and radiation safety. This provides functional independence for the AERB as a regulator, and they made 13 recommendations and 21 suggestions. In the meantime, AERB worked on it through our integrated management system. We have worked out all these points, and finally, there was a follow-up mission in June 2022. There, 11 recommendations have been closed, Out of 13, if you see that one is, as usual, that independence of AERB, which is beyond AERB's control. 20 suggestions have been closed. One more was supposed to be closed, but since we did not have the formal approval, it was a communication strategy which was prepared, but it was not signed, so that remained. No new findings in relation to the topics covered during the initial IRRS mission. And the IAEA IRRS team noted Indian regulators showed a strong commitment and professionalism to ensure nuclear and radiation safety in the country. The team observed AERB has acted on all of the recommendations and suggestions of the initial mission of 2015, and as a result, significant improvements have been made in many areas. These are the areas which they have identified where improvements have been done. Improved inspection program, including enhanced training and strengthening of power of inspectors, staff qualification and training program aimed at building and maintaining expertise necessary for discharging its responsibilities, process for regularly reviewing regulations and guides. So, coming to the last part, concluding remarks, leadership and management are distinctive and complementary system. Both are necessary for continual development of an organization. The strongest leader is generally invisible, but his presence is felt in the organization everywhere, all the time. Manage things, lead people, manage yourself, lead others. That is walk the talk. Have mind of a manager, soul of a leader. That is MSc leadership. Treat people like people, not machines. Leaders must encourage their subordinates to express their unvarnished opinions, make waves as appropriate, and stop tiptoeing around significant issues. And ultimate conclusion, leadership is a long journey of spiritual growth. With that, I take pride in leading AERB, where the mind is without fear. Thank you very much.